Hey everyone, it's Caitlin and welcome to another video. In this video, I'm going to be sharing 3 easy and healthy vegan dip recipes that you can make for parties, for gatherings with friends, or even if you just want to eat some good food by yourself. I don't know about you guys, but a lot of times when I go to parties, it seems that all of the finger foods and the dips especially aren't vegan, and I have gone to plenty of party where the only vegan option was the tray of raw vegetables, and you could only even eat the raw vegetables because the ranch dip in the center wasn't vegan. Well, this video is going to solve all of your problems because I have taken 3 popular dip recipes and made them vegan, and you actually get a 4th bonus recipe as well because today we're going to be making some vegan buffalo chicken dip, vegan spinach dip, and a vegan 7-layer dip that is amazing. And actually for one of the layers we're going to be making vegan queso, so that's your 4th little bonus recipe. Can't count today apparently, but that is all for now, so let's get into cooking. First, I'm going to show you how to make some vegan buffalo chicken dip. And to start out, we're going to add some silken tofu into a food processor, along with some vegan cream cheese. I like this one by Kite Hill. It's definitely my favorite, so if you could find it, I would recommend it. But you could also make your own vegan cream cheese if you can't find it. We're also going to add some white onion, some garlic, and some buffalo hot sauce, not the wing sauce, just the hot sauce. For the record, the wing sauce actually is vegan, but we're just using the hot sauce today. We're also going to add some vegetable broth and some tahini. Can't forget some nutritional yeast, and then we're going to put the lid on the food processor and blend this until it's smooth. If you want to, you could also use a blender for this step as well, but once you're done, you're going to have that classic yellowy orange sauce color, and then we're going to transfer this into a saucepan, and instead of actual chicken, because we care about the animals, we're going to be adding in some shredded jackfruit instead. So I got jackfruit from a box, that's why it looks kind of red, but I just broke it apart with my finger so it has shreds, kind of like the consistency of a shredded meat. And we're also going to add in some parsley and some dill for extra flavor. Then we're just going to simmer this over medium-ish heat, just so the mixture thickens and some of the water evaporates. So this is what it should look like once it's done. And you can serve it as is if you would like, but personally I like to get a little bit more of a crispy top to the buffalo sauce. I think that's more classic. So for that, we're going to add it into a baking safe or oven safe tray. I'm just using a bread loaf pan here, and you're going to spread it around till it's nice and even, and then we're just going to broil it in the oven until the top gets golden and slightly crispy, and you can serve it however you'd like. Here I'm just serving it with some crackers, but it would also be good with fresh bread or celery or pretzels or anything. I even love mixing this with salads when I'm running out of dressings. That may be weird, but honestly this is really, really addicting. I think this would be perfect for game days or football games or whatever other types of sports games there are where you're supposed to bring dips. Hashtag sports, hashtag I love them, but you know, just make the dip. Up next, I'm going to show you guys how to make some chunky queso, and this is actually kind of a bonus recipe because we're going to be using it in our 7-layer dip. So to start out, we're going to add some potatoes, some carrots, and some peeled zucchini into a pot, and then we're just going to bring that to a boil and simmer it until the potatoes and the carrots are tender. Then we're going to drain this, transfer it to a food processor or blender, and add in some red pepper, some brine from a jar of pickled jalapenos, and some tahini. And this may sound weird, but it gives it a really nice cheddary flavor. And then we're just going to blend that together, and the mixture is going to look a little bit thick at this point, but then that's when we're going to add our nutritional yeast for some cheesy flavor and some water to thin things out a bit. Then we're just going to blend this again for another 60 or so seconds, and as you can see, the queso has the texture of, well, queso at this point. But we're going to make it a little bit more chunky, so we're going to add in some salsa and some diced jalapenos. I'm using hot jalapenos, but you could also use mild jalapenos if you're more sensitive to heat. And then we're just going to pulse this in so our chunks still stay there. And then the queso should look a little bit something like this once you've finished, and you can transfer to a bowl, serve it with chips, put it on top of burritos or nachos or tacos, and it is really delicious. But today we're going to be using it in a 7-layer dip. This is the ultimate vegan 7-layer dip. We're obviously not going to be using sour cream. I decided to use queso instead. I mean, I think that sounds much more appetizing anyways. So to start out, we're going to add in a layer of refried beans. I'm using my homemade refried beans that I made in my Instant Pot. I recently posted a recipe video on how to make them, but if you want to buy beans from a can, you can totally do that too. And then next up, we're going to be adding a layer of guacamole, and I just made a really simple guac by mashing some avocados with some shallots, cilantro, lime, and salt. But you can also, like I said, buy store-bought dip again, so it's really however much effort you want to put into the recipe. So after the guacamole, we're going to add a layer of salsa and just spread that out. And then comes our queso, so we're going to put a nice generous layer of this, and I have all the exact measurements in my blog post, which will be linked below. So then after our queso, we're going to add some chopped tomatoes, a sprinkle of olives, and finally some sliced green onions. And that concludes our 7 layers. And yeah, I served it in a glass container. I think it's much more visually enticing because you can see all of the yummy layers in the dip. But this is typically served with chips. I guess you could serve it with veggies as well, but I think chips is typically the classic way. But look at all those delicious layers, guys. Last but not least, we're going to make some spinach dip, and this is similar to the buffalo dip in that we're going to start out with a base of some silken tofu as well as some vegan cream cheese. Again, I'm using the one by the brand Kite Hill. That's definitely my personal favorite. So after we add the cream cheese, we're going to add a little bit of tomato paste, and then we're going to blend this together. And I'm using the All-Clad Prep and Cook for this, which is a machine that can basically do everything in one pot, but you can do this in a food processor or a blender if you don't have this machine. So next we're going to add in some leeks, some carrots, and some shallots. And then again, we're going to blend this until it forms a smooth paste. And normally classic spinach dip is just made with a dried soup mix, but we're using the fresh veggies, so it tastes very similar, but it's actually a little bit healthier because we're not getting powdered stuff with a bunch of other preservatives in it. So here I'm just switching the blade, but at this point, if you don't have the prep and cook, you'll just transfer this mixture into a pan on the stovetop. And then we're going to add in some water chestnuts and some frozen spinach that I have thawed and pressed all of the liquid out of. And from there, we're just going to scrape down the sides, and you want to simmer this mixture for about 10 minutes or so. But we're also going to add in a splash of vegetable broth to help things thin out a little bit. And this is a very classic spinach dip for me. It's what I'm familiar with growing up. I know there's also a spinach and artichoke dip, which is kind of similar, but also kind of different. However, if you like to make that dip instead, you could just leave out the water chestnuts and add in some artichoke hearts instead, and it should be pretty similar. So this is what the dip looks like once it's finished, and classically this dip is served inside pumpernickel bread. So I got a loaf of pumpernickel bread from the store, and I decided to make a bread bowl. So you basically just cut a giant circle out of the loaf of bread, then you just use your hands to pull the bread away, and you can break this bread that you pull out into smaller chunks to dip into the bread. But you're going to pour your dip into the center of the bread bowl like so. Oh my gosh, look how delicious that looks. Ugh, I want it right now. Smooth it out just to make sure everything's, Instagram worthy, I guess. And then for toppings, like I said, you can use bread chunks, but I also decided to add some water crackers and some carrots as well, in case people wanted a variety of toppings and wanted to switch things up. Either way, this tastes exactly like the spinach dip that I used to eat as a kid, so I was so excited to be able to veganize it, and I hope you guys try it out, as with all of the rest of the recipes. And there are 3/4 amazing vegan dip recipes that you can make for a party or a sports game or just a family gathering in general. Let me know in the comments below which one is your favorite and which one you want to make first. And also let me know if there are any other dips out there that you think need to be veganized, because I really like dips, I am realizing, and I would totally love to do that for you guys. If this is your first time seeing one of my videos and you like what you see here, feel free to hit that little subscribe button right down there. I post 2 new videos every single week revolving around vegan recipes, what I eat in a day videos, lifestyle topics, things like that. So if that interests you, you know what to do. And I hope all of you have a fantastic day, whatever time of day it is for you. And thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you in the next video. Bye.